Yeah, is there any questions? I could possibly show you some of my work I've done, although I'm not particularly proud of how crazy my code is.
Well, I just want to say thanks. Like, this was really informative and I got a lot out of it. Um, I'm really grateful that you went into the under the hood of the machine code for the virtual machine of WebAssembly and then went into the Rust part because I feel like I have a much better understanding of what it is and I feel like I'm more prepared. Like, just kind of skimming through the books here, I feel like I'm more prepared to actually let my brain map between the two because of what you presented. So I think that presentation was excellent.
Awesome. That's kind of what I
Yes.
was going for.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been fantastic. I don't know about others, but I would love to see the projects that you were talking about.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
let's see
see.
it.
I don't even know if I have logged into GitHub on my, this is my Chrome tab, and I tend not to. Hold on. Oops. No, this is my Archit tool. It's in an older version of, yeah, it's a mess. So I used this, oh, I forgot to say, kind of glad I did. So this repo, this seed quick start, I wonder if I can just go here, if it's still the same thing, because I cloned this a while ago. Yeah, okay. So if you do decide to use seed, I would recommend starting with this. It has like a cargo make. If you don't use that, you probably should. It's pretty cool. That has everything in here that you might need. And the cool thing about cargo make is that if you don't have a package installed, like this microserver, if you wanted to use it, or WASM pack, where is it? Yeah, yeah, this one. So it will install those for you. So you don't have to worry about it, which I love. So pretty cool. Yeah, so use this if you decide to use seed, or just look at it as like a good way to start with WebAssembly and then do whatever you want, right? Like it's meant as a great resource to kind of get you going. But that's what I used. Long story short, I started with one framework, went to another, pain and stuff, but so I have this is like my main model. I should probably just show you if you haven't played around with this. This is the actual thing that I created. It's meant as like a diagramming tool, so you can like drag things out and then like connect them, and then like, you know, say, oh, this is the do that thing, and then this is the, you know, start, just because we're doing it backwards. Oh, that bug still exists. Oh, whatever. And you know, that kind of thing. And then you can, you know, turn on. This is why I don't like it in Firefox, because my version of Firefox. Then you can zoom in and like do stuff inside of it, and then zoom out and go into another one. So this is what I created, right? So that's what all this code is doing.
That's cool.
I didn't get nearly as much done as I would have loved to get done.
So,
but
since WASM can't talk to the DOM directly, what is the WASM doing for you here?
Yeah, so that's what so seed uses a virtual DOM, and let me show you an actual like view file if I can. Let's go. Oh, I'm in the wrong repo. Well, I could show you in their example because it's probably easier to see than my conglomerate. Right here, it's creating a button, attaching a simple event to it, and putting the string inside of the tags, right? That's what this macro does. And what it does is it creates a virtual DOM, which is a structural representation of the DOM, but on the Rust side. And then it will go through and say, you know, from my initial virtual DOM, something changes and then I generate another one. What's the difference? What things need to be changed? And then it relays those commands out to JavaScript to then change the actual DOM to match. So that's how a lot of like Elm and React and other stuff, they're using a virtual DOM where all your actions are going against this thing that isn't the real DOM, but then it derives what changes actually happen to the real browser DOM. Does that make sense?
Yes, and is there any measurable performance difference that you can see in your app?
I mean, it does pretty good, I guess.
Difference between what and what, Darrow?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, my understanding, people like to use WASM. Well, you like to use Rust. That's one reason you use WASM, but people are often using WASM because they're trying to get higher performance on something. I'm just wondering if you yourself.
Yes. Okay, I'm actually glad you brought this up because it's something that's a sort of misunderstanding about WASM, but not. You're right in that people use it for performance, but it's usually for performance isolated away from the browser, if that makes sense. Like, so if I wanted to use a canvas element, which I'm not, I'm using SVGs in here, to do a bunch of calculation and 3D rendering and all this stuff to get the performance over there, and then just generate an image and say, here, browser, do this. That would be pretty performant, but crossing the boundary between WASM and JavaScript, the whole bunch, is not. It's actually worse performance than like say Elm or React type of thing, because they're just there in JavaScript. And so if the thing that you're doing, which is kind of what I was doing, I didn't do this for performance. I did this because I like Rust and I like the type system and the ability to kind of help me program. That's why I chose to do it. But if you're constantly going back and forth, like instead of using a real virtual DOM, I actually tried to manipulate the real DOM constantly. That would be terrible for performance. But the fact that uses a virtual DOM and then just kind of bridges only when necessary, it doesn't seem to have at least bad performance. But no, I did not choose Rust to have better performance in this particular case. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. Now, you guys probably already knew that, but I figured I'd be explicit just in case.
One quick question. Do you have to be worried about like security when you're doing stuff with WASM? Like, are there any vulnerabilities that have been
You're talking
discovered?
like JavaScript evals or what? Or you're talking like the virtual machine themselves have vulnerabilities? Oh gosh, I haven't heard any, but I'll be honest, I haven't really cared to look. One of the reasons my personal opinion, this got accepted and so fast and was implemented so fast because it's really simple. Just 4 types and a stacked virtual machine, right? I suppose there are some things out there, but it's not something I particularly worry about. All your typical web things will still apply, like sanitize your input and stuff like that. But since there really isn't an eval function that I remember, and so yeah, I apologize, I don't really know of any.
So my understanding is it's just using the same hooks that JavaScript is using, so it has the same security that JavaScript would have.
You say hooks, what do you say? What do you mean by that?
It's hooking into the browser the same way that JavaScript is. So it has the same security and sandboxing that JavaScript would have it.
Currently, WASM does not hook into the DOM.
Sure.
It only runs off by itself and then tells JavaScript to hook in. So in that respect, yes, it's the same as JavaScript because it is JavaScript. They are planning to add APIs to interact with the browser DOM and things like that, but I haven't seen that fully fleshed out, so I don't know exactly how that works. Silence.
So on one of those pages, I thought I saw something about multi-threading. Can you do multi-threading in WASM?
Oh, you're probably looking at you for that?
I don't know. It was just one of the pages that you had up. It caught my eye because I I thought that it would be the same as JavaScript, so you wouldn't get multi-threading. Yeah.
Okay, so U is pretty cool in that it will use like web service workers and things like that to try and do multi-threaded stuff. I haven't seen that anywhere else, and I apologize, I don't remember exactly how it does it, but it can do some kind of multi-threading. Yeah, sorry, I totally
Oh,
forgot
well,
about
if
that.
it's putting all that abstraction in there, it might be slower than just doing it single-threaded.
Right,
Also,
yeah, I don't know.
sometimes when people are talking about multi-threading in the WASM world, they're talking about the fact that you can offload things to WASM in its own thread while JavaScript does its own thing as well. That's sort of
Right.
multi-threading because WASM runs in a different thread in most browser implementations.
I do know that at one point in time, and I kind of faded away from this project, so I haven't kept up with it, that it was using web service workers to actually, or was at least talking about doing that, to actually have like multi-threaded stuff where you can say, go run this somewhere else, and it would do it on a service worker. Kind of like how if you really wanted multi-threading in JavaScript, like real multi-threading, that's what you'd have to do is say, go over here, service worker, and do your thing, and then send it work to do kind of thing. So I don't know if that's what it's talking about, but at one point in time they were talking about doing that. So maybe. No, okay. Very good question though. Yeah, it is an environment, and I'm not aware that it's actually doing any real multi-threading. I don't know. I didn't look that up. I'm sorry. Any other questions? Because that's you now know more than I do. Stunned into silence.
Sounds like we're good.
That was great. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Great job.
Thank you for the opportunity to learn more about WASM and hopefully share some of that with you. Take care, guys.
Thank you for presenting, Casey.
Much appreciated.
We'll see ya.
Very much thanks.
Yeah, good job. Thanks.